Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Samina Ahmed. I think you have met me online many times, and I'm super excited today to actually introduce a very special guest, somebody who is dealing with pets. Yes, we have Dr. Chris. His name is Crisanto Villare. He is a veterinarian and he deals with small animals. So this is an interesting, sort of field where he has been dealing with small animals and treating them since 9 years. And he has seen dogs and cats, but there are also exotic animals that he treats, like rabbits and guinea pigs. And he's also dealing with the surgeries like orthopedic surgeries and soft tissue surgery, dental procedures, and also critical care in animals. And he has immense experience in scientific and public presentation. He's also part of an academic teaching in post-secondary veterinary institute. So we have a very special guest today, and let's welcome Chris. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today for this special Life Farm webinar on pet health.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited for this opportunity. Anything that would, it's my passion. Veterinary medicine is my passion. Helping pets has always been my passion, and anything that would, help pet parents improve the health and wellness of their pets, I'm, happy to share whatever I have. Mhm.
So,
Whatever.
we've usually been talking about people, human health, mostly in our webinars. Today, we are doing pet health. And I was telling Chris before we started the webinar that we don't really have a lot of resources on this. I don't see a lot of vets really coming in telling us about this topic. So it's very interesting what we are going to learn today. But as we start off, I do want to also share some figures with our beautiful audience. How many people think that dogs are more popular in the United States in this discussion? What do you think? Chris, what do you think? Do you think dogs are more popular than cats?
Yeah, I see more dogs in the clinic than cats. I personally is a more of a dog person than a cat person. So I'm so sorry for all the cat persons out there. But yeah, I see more dogs than cats in the clinic. That's yeah, that's for sure.
So guess what? Guess what? I was thinking of the same thing. I'm also a dog person. I've always had a dog in my life, many dogs. I think since the last maybe 10 years, I haven't kept one. I'm dealing with three boys and my husband, so I feel I need a little break. But you'll be shocked to hear cats are more popular in the United States than
Oh,
dogs.
that's
Yes,
interesting.
that's a
That's
fact. And Chris, 88 million pet cats to 75 million pet dogs. So that's an interesting fact there. And we start off our discussion with, first of all, me asking Chris if he, as a vet, has pets.
Yeah, I do. I have two small Shih Tzu dogs. They're Sydney and Scott. They're 4 and 3 years old. They're a handful sometimes, but I love them to death. I'll do anything for them.
And my other question now is, why become a vet?
Okay, so this may not be like the most inspiring answer, but the reason why I took up veterinary medicine back when I was doing my college application was just because the name veterinary medicine sounded cool. That's the only reason. But then when I went to take courses for the degree, I enjoyed it. I That's when I found this purpose of helping animals, helping those that are not able to help themselves. Then when I got into practice, I found the passion for it. So that's why I've stayed in the veterinary medicine field.
So, since Life Farm is a nutritional supplement company and they make supplements for people mostly, uh, one of their very uh, popular, supplement is Laminine. We're going to talk about that later. But I wanted to ask you a question. As a pet owner, uh, is it safe to give nutritional supplements to pets?
Um, Generally, nutritional supplements are safe across the board. Mainly because, like what the name implies, it's mostly supplemental to the basic daily nutrition that they're getting from their diet. They're not actual medications, so the risks of developing serious toxicities from them um, is very slim. So generally, most nutritional supplements, especially those that are formulated for cats and dogs, yeah, they're generally safe to give.
Now, if I have a pet and I'm already giving my pet a medication, is it safe to give the nutritional supplement with it?
Yeah, there's not many studies about the interactions between nutritional supplements and like conventional medications, but there are supplements that actually work in synergy with certain medications, and you would have a better response if you give supplements along with the traditional medications that are designed for certain illnesses or conditions. So, yeah, in general, it is most nutritional supplements are safe to be given along with certain medications.
Now, why can't I give a good diet to my pet? Why supplement? Can you focus on some of the signs of deficiency? Because usually we take supplements when we see there's a deficiency in our body,
Yeah. Mhm.
whether it's a deficiency of calcium, vitamin A or D, or any other nutrient. So, what would be a sign of deficiency in a pet?
Okay, so most commercially available um, pet diets, they're usually formulated to meet the pet's daily nutritional needs, provided you're giving the correct type of diet based on their age and the correct amount daily. But this only ensures that these pets will grow healthy. You won't be restricting their growth. They'll reach their, a full potential when it comes to their, size and bone health. But there are conditions that are not really addressed by diet alone. Like there are some breeds that are more predisposed to developing these types of conditions like heart problems, joint problems, and relying on diet alone may not be enough to prevent these conditions from developing as they get older. That's where nutritional supplements usually come in. So
Mhm.
nutritional supplements will help along with the proper diet will help number one, keep them healthy. Number two, prevent these common health problems from developing as they age or as they get older.
So, what would be a common health problem in pets? And here I talk about a general sort of idea, not particular to a dog or a cat. What are some of the, if you can just name maybe the five most common ailments that you encounter in pets?
Definitely, joint problems, osteoarthritis is a very common problem. Like most dogs or cats, when they reach a certain age, they would most likely develop joint issues in some form of another. That's I think the most common health issue that I see in older dogs. Skin problems, allergies, those are also very common. Um, the thing with health problems in dogs is they usually only show up, pets rather, they usually only show up as they age. So it's very important that what we're doing for them when they're still young is directed to preventing these problems from developing as they get older. So that's, and usually the most common problems of older cats and dogs would be joint issues, skin problems, skin allergies, heart, kidney disease, those things.
I remember I had a Pekingese once. He stayed with me for almost 13 years. And Chris, towards his later years, he developed problems with his spine. Now, these Pekingese dogs have short legs, and we were told, do not make him climb stairs and, hold the dog. And so I remember I went to the vet and he told me that the dog requires surgery. And that was something that was very sort of tough for the whole family. You know how a pet becomes part of the family, and you fear, like literally fear these kind of things happening, surgeries, death also. It's so tough. And
Hmm.
I came home, and my youngest son, he found out, and that whole night, my son was just kind of giving a spine massage to Chewbacca. We called him Chewbacca. And miraculously, Chris, in the morning, my dog was fine. Chewbacca was
Oh.
moving about as if nothing had happened to him. He never needed surgery. I still, remember that. And I am like, what a miracle that was. Something magical happened. Maybe the child's purity, his energy transferred into the dog. And Ayurveda would explain it. I'm also an Ayurvedic practitioner, of us transferring our positive energy to another person or another, being.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so that's interesting. So tell me, what would be like the dose of a supplement, let's say, if we had to give it to an animal? And I know human medications do resemble
Hmm.
animal medication. So what is this dosage thing about? How do you manage?
With dosages, especially when it comes to supplements, it all depends on what the manufacturer recommends, because they're the ones that have done the studies that would the levels of these supplements that would give the best outcome for certain conditions. It can vary depending on the manufacturer. Risks of toxicity, like I mentioned earlier, is very slim, but if it's not recommended to give a dosage different from what the manufacturer recommends, because then you're risking um, adverse reactions. Although it's slim, it is still possible. Like with, for example, probiotics. If you're giving too much probiotics, it may cause the opposite of what you're hoping for. It may cause like imbalances in their gut microflora. So those things. So with when it comes to dosages, just make sure you follow, especially with nutritional supplements, just make sure you follow the manufacturer's recommendations.
And are you aware of any clinical studies which support the effectiveness of a supplement?
Oh yes, there are supplements like probiotics. Like I mentioned earlier, there are extensive studies in veterinary medicine in dogs and cats showing the health benefits of probiotics, maintaining their gut microflora, keep maintaining gut health, controlling or managing digestive issues. Omega 6, omega 3 fatty acids. There are also studies that show the natural anti-inflammatory properties of omega 6, omega 3 fatty acids, which help with osteoarthritis. So yeah, there are studies on how certain nutritional supplements help in certain illnesses or conditions in dogs and cats.
So, what signs should I be looking for if I feel that a supplement is causing a problem? Or do I don't have to worry at all? I mean, never blame it on the supplement.
Like I said, it's very rare that a dog will have some sort of adverse reactions to nutritional supplements. But that being said, dogs and cats, like us people, can develop allergic reactions to anything, and that includes ingredients that are used in developing nutritional supplements. So there is chance for them to, regardless of what kind of supplement it is, there is still a chance that they may develop allergic reactions, which can manifest as just vomiting or diarrhea, or it can cause, like with people, swelling of the skin, hives, excessive scratching. So that is possible. But as for adverse reactions, it's very rare that a dog would, or a cat would, develop adverse reactions to certain supplements, provided that you're following manufacturer's recommendations on how much to give on a daily basis.
So, can you name a couple of ingredients that we should be mindful, of when we buy a supplement, which can cause an allergic reaction in a pet?
Mm, Allergies in dogs and cats are mostly triggered by protein components of the of the diet or the supplement or the medication. So and usually I believe the most common allergen in dogs and cats is poultry protein. So
Mhm.
if you are aware that your pet, your dog or your cat is allergic to poultry protein, so when choosing supplements, make sure uh, to look at the ingredient list, make sure that there are no poultry protein listed in the ingredient list. Those things. So, but yeah, it's mostly the protein component of the diet or the supplement that triggers allergic reactions in dogs and cats.
So would it be a good caution to maybe start off a supplement in a smaller dose for a few days to see how the pet is doing, and then to continue the supplement, just to be on the safe side if there is a protein in a supplement?
Um, I usually don't recommend starting at a dose lower than what the manufacturer recommends because maybe we might not be getting the health benefits that we are hoping for from the supplement. Um, and even at a low dose, if a dog or a cat is allergic to a particular protein, be it beef or salmon or fish protein or uh, poultry protein, even at a lower dose, they may still show reactions uh, to it. So if you are aware about your pet's potential allergic reactions to certain proteins, then uh, just be cautious in giving diets or supplements that contain those allergens that your dog or cat is allergic to.
And then we can easily stop as soon
Yeah,
as we see some
usually if
reaction, right? We can just
yeah.
stop and then consult our vet. So if I was to ask you what kind of a supplement do you favor, should it be a tablet or a powder or a liquid? Which is most safer, let's call it, or effective? And is there something that you feel should be avoided from, these types of supplements?
With the form of supplement,
Yes.
um, it's a case-to-case basis. It will depend on which form your pet is most comfortable with. They would tolerate best. I find that powdered form is the easiest to give because you can just mix it in their food, and if they finish their food all every time you offer it, then you won't have to force down a pill or a capsule down their throat.
Thinking of
But
that.
you'd be surprised, there are dogs that would willingly take a pill or a capsule from your hand. So with some pet owners, they find that giving pills or capsules may be easier. Now, I think capsule would be like the middle ground between a powder form and a pill because you can, if they're not used to giving capsules or getting capsules directly, you can break open a capsule, mix it with their food, then just make sure they finish their food.
So, when we keep a pet, we want our pet to live a very long and beautiful life. And, they are talking about lifestyle medicine as a great option to helping, you live a long life. And in the lifestyle medicine, you've got elements like good nutrition and sleep and exercise, and of course, supplementation if at all necessary, and
Mhm.
reduction of stress. So if I asked you, what would be your, let's call it, formula for a good lifestyle management plan for a pet? Like, what would you put in your list of things to do?
Um, it would be, it would be pretty similar to what we do for humans. Good nutrition, regular exercise, physical activity, mental wellness is also very important in pets. So make sure you give them something, an interactive activity, regular regularly play with them. Like I said, there are breeds both in dogs and cats that would benefit on nutritional supplements because they're predisposed to developing certain conditions as they get older. So starting them on these supplements early on may also help. But yeah, it's mostly like what you've mentioned, a combination of good diet, regular exercise, interactive plays, enrichment, and of course nutrients if your dog or a cat is predisposed to certain conditions.
So now I have a quick few questions that I'm going to ask you, which are true or false questions, Chris.
Yep. Sure.
You will just
I'm not
answer
old.
it true or false.
Okay.
Okay, my first question is, dogs should not be given chocolate or grapes. True or false?
True.
Okay. Cats can make more than 100 sounds. Dogs can only make 10. True or false?
I would say true. Just because of the range of sounds that I've heard from cats when they're nervous, they're scared. They can, yeah.
Wow. But 100 sounds. I'm like, I
Well,
think, I don't know if we can make 100 sounds.
well, not, yeah,
Dogs,
probably
I know,
false.
like, I mean, growling or, kind of making those. I mean, I can mimic them, but I don't think I want to do those. But the 10 sounds, they're restricted. So
Yep.
cats have an advantage over that as well. And so another question. Dogs have no sense of time. True or false?
Um, I'd say false.
Yeah.
Basically, they don't have the same sense of time as we do, but they have l- their own circadian rhythm. So their body feels if it's daytime. You will notice this. Um, if you do something, if you like you bring them out at a particular time every day for a week, then you stop, you will notice they will come to you at that specific time asking you to bring them out because they're used to being brought out at that particular time. So it's kind of like they have their own sense of time within themselves. It's not the same way we perceive time, but they have their own body clock that they work with. So in
That would
that
not
sense,
be like that would not be put under the umbrella of me training them in a way that, okay, this is your time to go for a walk. So then they are eagerly doing it more like a habitual thing, not that they know that it's time, it's daytime and I should go for a walk. It couldn't be put in under that. Like, when like training, that's how you train them, right?
yes, that's how you. But they do have a sense of what they call this of they are able to differentiate between nighttime and day.
Because my sister, she has a dog, and anytime she has to go out somewhere, to her job or whatever, all she does is, Chris, she looks at the dog and she tells me, I'm doing this oxytocin thing with the dog. She read somewhere that I can give, when I look at my dog in a certain way, my pet, I can transfer love to my pet. And then she goes like this, 5 minutes. She comes back after maybe 5 hours, but apparently the dog, he just looks at the hand 5 minutes and it feels reassured. I don't know what technique she's read about it or seen it somewhere. you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I said, dogs do not really have the sense of time that the way they perceive time. It's not the same as we do. So, um, and you know how dogs are always excited, regardless of how long you've been away from home. You go out,
Yes.
get your mail for 2 minutes, you come back. It seems like you've been gone for 10 years. Um, so in that sense, they don't really have a grasp on how long you've been away, but they are able to map out these certain cycles throughout the day. They're able to differentiate nighttime and daytime, and in a sense, that's their own body clock working, able to differentiate certain uh, times of the day.
You're right when you say that they get super excited, you just give them a little food, but as soon as you walk into the house, they greet you as if you
You've
are
been,
the
yeah.
most important person in the world. And I remember once telling my family, Chris, that I think Chewbacca, my pet dog, loves me more than you guys do. And they got offended But I did feel that way because, I was doting on my children and my husband, but I wasn't getting the same kind of attention I was getting from Chewbacca, who was barely getting any time from my end. And he made me feel so special and loved. So I
Yeah,
really, I think that's the reason I love dogs more than cats, because cats are a little proud and
yeah,
not that expressive, right? They just purr. And I thought the purring is, I don't know, I didn't know that, but I read somewhere that when they purr, it's self-healing. Even then, they are
yeah,
actually wishing themselves. They are not doing it because they care for you or that you
yeah,
are stroking them. They are still doing it for self-healing.
yeah. That's exactly. There's this running joke where if you feed a dog, they will think that, hey, uh, you're probably God because you're giving me nourishment. But if you feed a cat, they will think, hey, I'm probably God because you're giving me food. So that's how different their mindsets are.
So now, Chris, our discussion is going to move on to Laminine, a supplement
Oh,
made by Life Farm. We are very proud of our supplement. It's like a flagship, supplement for us, and we've seen some amazing results on research as well. One of the things that Life Farm does is that it's got those amino acids, the 22, the phytoproteins, marine proteins, and of course the fertilized avian egg extract, which
mhm.
has the fibrogen growth factor, FGF2. We know that we do have it when we are at an embryonic stage, but as we grow older, we start losing it. And we do need it because it's shown a lot of benefits, especially in longevity. And when we, get a pet in our family, and like I said, we know that it doesn't have a long lifespan. It's basically some good, I guess a dog for a dog would be 18, 19 years, but it's still short. And we want them to live a long, healthy life, which is disease free. And we know that laminine, in a way reverses the signs of aging at a cellular level because it's working on lengthening the telomeres. And the telomeres are that part in the chromosome where if they are long, that means we have a long lifespan. And it's like literally giving ourselves extra years. So would you say that a pet owner should give laminine to their pet in this particular regard where we talk about longevity?
Oh, interesting that you mentioned telomeres because studies have shown that dogs, um, at least dogs, show parallels in telomere biology to humans. And they've used it. Basically, they've found that this can be a strong predictor on the average lifespan of dogs. Now, dogs like humans, they do lose their uh, telomeres, or it shortens as they get older, but it's much faster in dogs, like ten times faster compared to humans. But it is like a reliable indicator of their lifespan. Um, and studies have shown that breeds with shorter mean telomere lengths, they are at an increased risk of dying from certain conditions like cardiovascular disease. And if laminine is able to lengthen the telomeres at a cellular level, then theoretically that can translate to hopefully increasing your pet's lifespan.
So, another aspect of giving laminine would be to regenerate the damaged cells. Now, we know that FGF2 has the ability to go to the stem cells in the body and then direct them to wherever there is an issue. If I need some repair in my joint, it can go there and give that signal of making more cells there, which will help and support the joint. If I have bleeding gums, it can go and repair there. So this concept of regeneration attached to FGF2, which is an integral part of that fertilized avian egg extract, is what I'm talking about. So by giving laminine, will we be able to help pets who have damaged cells, especially who suffer from sore joint or a stiff joint?
Oh yeah, definitely. Uh, I mentioned earlier that osteoarthritis is probably the most common health problem that I see in older dogs. And this happens because the cartilages between the joints start to degrade. There's actually one way of managing this problem in older dogs is stem cell therapy, where they inject stem cells directly into the joint to hopefully promote healing of the cartilages, to lubricate it, to make it more stable. And nutritional supplements like laminine that are able to, trigger stem cell reproduction, which can in turn promote healing, regrowth of cartilages, can definitely help, make older dogs feel better. It will help lubricate those joints so that it's not too painful when they walk around you. And you'll notice this if your older dog starts to behave like a puppy again. They start to, run around, walk around, which you don't imagine a 12 or 13-year-old dog is able to do.
That reminds me of an interesting story, what you just said, Chris. I have a client who used to say when he goes to his office, and his office is on the second floor, there is no elevator. And he said he would be walking on the stairs and he'd be literally panting after a few steps and then going again because he has also joint issues. And he started taking laminine, and sure enough, after 3 months, he was literally hopping and jumping. And people in the office, kind of said, hey, what are you on? What are you taking? Tell us about it. So I, love the fact that you're telling me that pets, sometimes they're just lying around, especially those old dogs. And for a pet owner, it's sad, to see that. They do want them to jump around, be happy and uppity. And so it's great to hear that we can actually, use laminine for that. Now, so you were saying that even to improve stamina, let's say, and to give strength to your pet, laminine would have that effect.
um, yeah, ideally with the essential amino acids that laminine has, which you know improves energy production, along with the benefits of regeneration of cartilages and joints, it will ultimately help increase their stamina, increase their health. So I think that on that regard, laminine may be helpful, especially in older dogs that, we don't yeah, like you said, we don't really want them just laying around the whole day. We want them to at least interact with their environment, and with how laminine may help with cartilage regeneration, increased energy production. That is a possibility.
Excellent. So now we again have some quiz questions for Dr.
Oh.
Chris.
Okay.
Let's see how you do on these. You did very well, by the way, on all the ones that I asked you before.
Oh, thank you.
Right on it. So let's ask you this one. Adult cats shouldn't be given milk as most are lactose intolerant.
True.
True or false?
Yep. True. So yeah, I know in the cartoons we always see them being given bowls of milk, but cats, they're actually the true carnivores. So they thrive well on high protein diet, and to a certain extent they have lactose intolerance, and giving them a little bit of milk maybe can be tolerated, but too much milk can lead to GI issues. So yeah, I'd say true for that question.
And you are right and correct. And then I have another question for you. Cats can't taste sweetness. True
Ah,
or false?
that I would say false.
Okay, so this one is true.
True.
Scientists believe it's due to
Okay.
a genetic mutation that affects the key taste receptors in them. Now, this is interesting. I mean, I didn't know that, but I did a little research on this. So interesting that I don't know then when you give those treats to cats, I need to check whether they're sweet or not, because if they're not even concerned, I mean, if it doesn't even get that sweet taste, it doesn't really matter if the manufacturers add sweetness to those cat treats.
Yeah.
Need to delve deeper into this one. But
Well,
one
oh, sorry.
one fact, Chris, that I learned today was, which I'm going to share with our audience as well. Cats spend 1/3 of their lives cleaning themselves.
Ah,
And
Yes.
we do see them. They're very clean, by the way, as compared to dogs.
Mhm.
1/3 of their life is also spent sleeping. And when I read that, I said,
So
these days,
that leaves.
I definitely want to be a cat. I definitely want to spend some time of my life sleeping. I don't get a lot of sleep. So interesting that
Yeah,
that's a
interesting.
long
That
time in your life. If 1/3 of it is, it's good to be a cat then.
yeah, that leaves only 1/3 doing other activities.
And I want another life farm supplement question to be put through to you, which I think is a very important question. In our discussion, I would rate this question to be the most important, and we would love your feedback, Chris, on this. That stress is such a huge concern for us. Now, we are expressive. I'm going to tell you, Chris, I'm suffering from stress. Now, animals are they don't have that ability to immediately address it, whatever. First, I want you to tell me what would be symptoms of an animal suffering from stress so that a pet owner can diagnose and make out what's happening. And then also ask you if laminine can play a role in stress management, because I do remember that we had a big study which was conducted by our doctor and Dr. Escaland. He did this study saying that there was a fact that 7 out of 10 people in the world suffer from stress.
Mhm.
Imagine that. That's like 70% of our population
I'm
is.
one of the 70%.
I think we all are. Here we all have to confess and we have to be honest that we are all suffering from stress. And so he did a study, and interestingly, about laminine, and I want to share this. High levels of cortisol accelerate the aging process. And in a recent study, they discovered that 20% reduction of cortisol levels in individuals if you take laminine for about 12 days. So that's a very good study where you see that, stress levels can go down. So I would like to ask you, first of all, what are the symptoms in a pet for the pet owner? And can laminine help with stress in pets?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought this up because stress is a very common problem, but is often overlooked. Because, like you mentioned, pets are not able to express themselves, so they show signs of stress in a very wide range of symptoms. It can be as simple as them like being highly reactive to everything in their environment. And you're walking your dog outside, and your dog will start to follow certain dogs or start to follow certain people that you come across with, to more obvious signs like crying when you're away, um, or growling or being aggressive to other people that they don't know. So these signs, sometimes pet owners would account this just as a like a normal behavior for their pets, not knowing that these are signs of stress. And studies have shown that dogs that are showing signs of stress or anxiety have 4 times the level of cortisol in their system than those that are not showing any signs of stress. Um, and that kind of like proves that cortisol levels and stress levels are directly proportional. And lowering down cortisol levels can help reduce your dog's or your pet's stress and anxiety levels. Laminine, like you said, it's great that they have studied the effect of laminine in human cortisol levels. And if this can translate to pets, then I believe that daily supplementation of laminine may help reduce your dog's or your cat's stress levels, hopefully make them more comfortable, especially with separation anxiety, which is the most common form of anxiety in dogs. So you won't have to worry about your dog or cat being too stressed while you're away.
And when they are panting, I didn't know that this is how I thought that they sweat only with panting, the dogs.
Mhm.
Uh, that's not like a sign of stress, is it? This is how they're just sweating. Is that correct?
Panting, Yeah, panting can it has different functions. So yes, the most common would be to release body heat because they don't have sweat glands. They only sweat on their paws, and they release heat in their body through panting. But panting can also be an indication of stress. If they're really stressed, they would be panting heavily. It can be a sign that they're in some form of pain or discomfort. So panting can mean a lot, and stress is one of them.
And it's interesting you say that dogs are also sweating from their paws.
Yeah.
So this is a nice fact to for the pet owners that they sweat from there and also from the tongue.
Mhm.
And I wanted to also ask you, pet insurance, it's very huge and it's expensive. It involves getting health insurance, yeah, of course, which is expensive. You need to buy pet food, you need to buy litter, you have to go to the grooming people, you have to buy vaccines. So it's such a huge cost, right? It would be very beneficial for all the pet owners who are on this webinar right now to find out how they can improve the immunity of their pet. How can they make sure that the pet does not fall sick that often? And I'd love to get your ideas on that if you can guide us.
Okay, so with there are nutritional supplements that are designed to improve their immunity, um, which can, make them more resistant to certain infections. It's not a replacement to vaccination. I would still always recommend regular vaccination, especially for the most common viral diseases in dogs and cats. But nutritional supplements that are able to boost their immune system can actually work in synergy with vaccines. So if they're getting daily nutritional supplements for their immune system, they get vaccines, their response to the vaccine is greater compared to when they're not getting anything, then maybe it's possible they won't need vaccines that often. I have seen dogs that has gone 5 7 years without getting a vaccine, but when we measured their antibody titers, they still have levels, protective levels in their system because they're getting nutritional supplements that supposedly improve their immune system. So in that way, initial vaccines is still highly recommended, but giving nutritional supplements to help boost their immune system may help reduce the need for frequent vaccination throughout their lives.
So that's amazing what you told us about laminine as well as about, the other aspects or journal health aspects. Now, you are practicing, on pets. I have trained in practicing on humans, but I also went through an alternative medicine approach, which is holistic, and trained in Ayurvedic medicine. And I'd like to tell our viewers a little about that. Did you know that dogs or cats or any pet, they also have separate mind-body constitutions, just like humans do? So they are five elements, which are earth, water, air, space, and fire. So we actually put humans and people in three categories: Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Vata people are obviously people who have too much air and space. We call them Vata. And similarly, animals are also Vata. Then we have Pitta. And Pitta
Mhm.
is people who have too much fire in them, too much of fire and water. And then I have the Kapha. Kapha are the earth and water people. And similarly, animals are like that. So I can bet you, you can tell me, Chris, which animals fall under what. And so I'm going to quiz you now.
Ha. Okay.
Water is air and space, okay? Air and space.
Hmm.
People have dogs which have breeds where they're hyper. They are never still. Name a few breeds, Vata breeds in pets. In cats and dogs, or let's also look at the nature, squirrels and chipmunks. They don't stay in one place for a second, so they have that vata quality, according to Ayurvedic medicine.
Hmm.
So name a few breeds of dogs that you would put in this criteria.
First breed that comes into mind, Jack Russell Terriers. They're like the most energetic breed that I can think of. Golden
Hyper.
Retriever, but yeah, they're very hyper. Um, yeah, that's the most energetic. Like they don't keep still. Jack Russell Terriers.
Okay, now we have pitta. Just like people who are angry or who are narcissistic, sometimes when out of balance, they are extremely type A. Um, they want order in their life, but they also are very angry at times if you don't agree with them. So there are some breeds in cats and dogs also, I'm sure. So name a few dog breeds which come into this category.
I would say Chow Chows. Is Chow Chow included? Because, well, yeah, they're Chow Chow's Rottweilers probably. Yeah, so those are the breeds that I can think of that if you're not doing what they want you to do, then they may give you some attitude.
That's right. There are also those one-man dogs, right? Some of them.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then we have the very relaxed people in life, they don't really care too much about chaos. They stay in their nice space, they are happy, healthy, content people, very loving. They'll, like a dog lying on a corner, of a room and, or not bothering anyone, very sweet. Like I think I know one dog that people usually keep when they have little babies also. Give me the name. It begins with an
Um,
L, L, L. I feel it's
Labradors.
the safe Labrador,
Yeah, Labradors.
the
They're like
safest
the
dog, right?
family dog. Yeah.
The family. That's the Kapha dog.
Yeah.
Very beautiful and still. And so we always know that humans have these fingerprints, like your fingerprint and mine do not match. And I remember ages ago, I read that every zebra is different. The
Mhm.
stripes, they don't match. I think nature is phenomenal. It's such a miracle when you hear that. So I found out an interesting fact about dogs and cats. I didn't know that they have a nose print.
Yes.
Oh my
It's
God,
a
I didn't know that at
it,
all.
it's a unique, yeah, like with fingerprints, that's their fingerprint, their nose print. That's unique for each dog and each cat.
Wow. So when a pet comes to you, do you do that? Like, I mean, like there's
Well,
like a
not really, but some pet owners would want an impression of their dog's nose, then they'd frame it because that's their dog's identity.
that's amazing. Thank you so much, Chris, for a wonderful session here. This webinar was so exciting and it was so educational. You answered all our questions. You did, I think, super great in the quiz as well. And we loved your energy and what you brought to this webinar. I was in Boston, a few days ago, attending Dr. Deepak Chopra's Sages and Scientists conference, Chris. And uh, before I tell you a little about that and end the session, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for sparing this time, for giving us all this knowledge and information. I really appreciate that so much.
Oh, you're
So
very welcome.
at the Sages and Scientists Convention, Chris, they were speakers who talked about technology. The scientists were talking about technology, about AI, about the benefits of AI to us, the future of medicine, the future of disease, and of repairing and literally finding cures for Alzheimer's, which is important, of going in the space, of finding out maybe there are planets where people are already there. And then there were sages, which was art and culture, musicians, people who brought in their sensibility as meditation teachers, or people from the holistic world. But one thing was clear, that sages and scientists both make up this world, and we cannot do without either. They are both important, Chris, for us. And the gist of this whole conference was unity consciousness,
Mhm.
which I feel is the most important uh, need of the day. We are living in a very volatile world, which is full of turmoil. So through these engagements, which I'm grateful for, Life Farm has brought Chris and me together today to talk about beings which are coexisting with us. We need to be conscious of them. We need to be conscious of the environment, of the trees, of the animals. We talked about how to heal them, but there are a lot of animals who are neglected. There are rescue places, you know, where you go and find these neglected animals who've been deserted. Do not get a pet in your house if you cannot take care of it. And I'm sure, you know, Chris sees a lot of abuse there as well. But I would like to end this session by just saying, let's each one of us try to be a pioneer of change. Be the change you want to see. Play a part, play a role, because you are all vital to the health of our planet. And don't ignore that, because the time is now. So I would want all of you to take an action today after hearing this webinar on how you can make a difference in the health of not only your own self, your family, but also in the health and well-being of these beautiful pets, either in your house or if they are probably in your yard. How can you make a difference to this planet? Thank you so much. Thank you, Chris.
You're very welcome. Thank you as well for having me.